Hey guys, here is the gear for today. Fascali from Stirling. 7 o'clock black from Gillette. Pearl Flexi. This is the version 5. I know I shaved with the 5 most recently, but I'm trying to get the feel of the two razors against each other, the 5 versus the 7. Pretty much seem to be identical so far. But I used a Wolfman recently on a larger growth, and so I wanted to step back to the 5 again, just to kind of remind myself before I move on to the 7. This blade is enjoyable for me in many razors, and so I think it'll be a great one to share between the two Flexis. So the Pearl Flexi version 5, and this is a whip dog handle, and it is a finest badger knot, as you can tell, and this is an inexpensive finest from Virginia Cheng. And the last time I used it, I think I've just used it once, I had pretty good things to say about it. I think it's a good, if you don't want that, it's not jelly. If you want an inexpensive badger knot that has it's not too backbony, but the tips have a little bit of feel to them, a little bit of kind of scrub built into it, then this is a good one to look at. We are shaving early in the morning today. I did a little research because I had never heard of the name Fascali, and I could be mispronouncing it. I apologize if I am. It is a forest in Scotland. One of the things that it is, I mean, there may be more. My guess is that that's what it's called, what it's named after. As I'm unwrapping the blade here, this has about 3 uses on it. I think it'll be a good tester blade to highlight the differences, the two razors. And so Fascali is Glasgow and Edinburgh are kind of next to each other in Scotland, and north of Glasgow is Loch Lomond, the kind of famous lake that has that wonderful song, traditional Celtic song named after it. But north of Edinburgh, you get to Perth, keep going, and you head toward this foresty area, and that is part of it. Within that area is the Fascali forest, and some of the pictures that I saw online while just a cursory search were just gorgeous. And some, of course, that area of the world, England and Scotland. You can find some amazing little cottages in a forest. Those kind of photos that just are terrific. Very pastoral, and this is a woody scent. And so my guess is that might be why the name might be associated with this particular scent. This is, of course, I don't guess I've mentioned it this time. Tom Ford's Gray Vetiver is the scent that this one's patterned after. Fine accoutrements used to be the only way to get this scent in a high-performance soap, and it was named Fresh Vetiver under fine accoutrements. They had their classic pucks for so long, and then I'm going to set it on a number 2. And then they discontinued those, and they are bringing, I think, the Fresh Vetiver in as in their new cream base, their new Crope soap base. Let me get some water on my face. And for a while, that was the only way you could get this really cool scent. It's a big favorite of mine. I have several pucks of the Fresh Vetiver. As I have uncapped this now, it's a nice scent that's coming up. And the Stirling did release it under a charity or a benefit soap to called Responders for Life, sometimes abbreviated R for L. And it was wonderful. I was able to get some of that. And so finally, I've got this great scent that I like in fine accoutrements. They have it, but now we have it in the Stirling base as well. That's wonderful. And apparently, I was reading online, Rod said that it sold out like gangbusters as fast as they could kind of make it. The Responders for Life sold out, and I dearly hope that Fascali follows the same pattern as being very popular so that it remains a part and becomes a part of their regular lineup. Let's go ahead and load. Let's just do 30 seconds. Shake out a lot of the water here. This knot holds a good bit, as you can see. And this is a larger knot. It might be, this is a 30 millimeter handle, and that might be what this knot is. Start at about 01 on the clock there, so we'll go to 31. Probably won't need to do that. I can kind of feel some of the backbone there in the knot. It's not splaying super easy. I did not make a note in my previous use that this brush had too much backbone. That may be the case, but I usually do make that kind of a note. So I got a feeling the backbone is going to be okay. Man, it's we got it. We kind of got it everywhere. Let's use some of that. All right. And so now, because Rod is so classy, he waited to release it. He did not want to affect the charity, the money that soap was making for the charity, and so he's a few years later now. The soap is, you don't see it on the used market anywhere. It's very hard to find. So I don't think he's hurting the charity at all, and he's able to bring this great soap, this great scent to his lineup. I'm really happy because Fine Accoutrements a year or 3 ago upped their prices on their splashes, and I don't think they're worth 20 bucks anymore. They're worth 20 bucks. They used to be at about $13 or $15 or something like that, and as a kind of alcohol only splash, I think it was worth that when you found a scent that you liked. I am definitely feeling the backbone here of this brush. The one thing I did make a remark about on the brush was that make sure you don't take the lather too thin, because this has enough backbone and tip feel to where you definitely will, it won't do any favors with a thinner, lather. You'll definitely get a more amplified feel. And already we've just got a beautiful thick lather here. It's too thick, it needs some more water, but it sure is pretty. And because Stirling is bringing the scent to us, I believe, there will be a balm and an EDT. I did order the EDT at the time, so I've got it over on the side there. But we'll be able to have a balm and a splash as well, bath soap probably, and all that. So wonderful news for people who are fans of Tom Ford Grey Vetiver. Oh, the scent, just wonderful. I did soak this brush because I knew that it was prone to having some backbone. I did soak it for a good 15-20 minutes before using it. Also the tips, these aren't jelly by any means. And but if you do have a brush like this, I think that the tips will soften over years of use, even if they haven't been gelled and treated like that. Still got some firmness to the peaks, that sort of thing. I'm definitely gonna be mindful, trying not to over hydrate it due to this brush here. I picked this one because I hadn't used it in my recent memory, and I couldn't actually remember which two-band this was. I knew it wasn't a Whipped Dog two-band. I don't actually think I think I only have the silver tips from Whipped Dog. I actually thought it was something a little bit more premium than a Virginia Cheng. But I put it in the soak, and I said, well, hey, let's use it. The Virginia Cheng silver tips are a pretty good buy. They have much more soft feel. The tips in some cases aren't nearly as soft as some of the other higher priced silver tips out there, but I think it's a very respectable, inexpensive knot for somebody who wants to try out a lower backbone brush. You definitely will see that there are a couple of the silver tip uses from Virginia Cheng on my channel. So this will be the second try of their finest badger. I'll put some water on my face one more time. And then let's see how we go here. Now, I've only used this not one time, but as I was thinking about the tips, badger brushes can change a little bit. Over time, I've had a VigShaving silver tip that actually started out with some prickle. I'd never had a silver tip do that. Now look at that. We are just kind of generating some awesome lather here. I don't want that to just flop down on my shirt. So let's save it. And I was very discouraged, but I kept using it and the prickle went away. And so if you get a badger knot, especially one from kind of the lower cost end of the spectrum, then feel free to give it some uses. Maybe even if you don't like shaving with it quite yet, you could take it into the shower with you. Use it as a body brush to apply bar soap, to your body. Give it a good workout that way. And then sometimes the tips will change and become nicer. And it only took maybe 20 uses or so for that VigShaving silver tip to be very enjoyable. And so I was thinking the same thoughts about this brush, and these tips could soften, but it's maybe less likely since I bought it used. So I think the person who had it before me probably used it enough to get into that zone of comfort already. Well, I didn't overhydrate this lather. It kind of feels like maybe I'll add a few more drops of water to the brush and make this lather a little more wet, creamy. I do feel those tips. Definitely some scrub to this brush. The tips do have enough flex to where I don't feel that that tennis ball effect that some two-band brushes give you, like some of the premium two-band brushes out there. Which one did I use recently that was that way? Can't remember. but the and so the splay, it's difficult to splay it a lot because it's got a lot of backbone. I wouldn't say it's especially dense, but it's pretty dense. And so if the tips were just a little bit softer, I believe I could enjoy using this brush. So if you like a little bit of, maybe a little bit of scritch, some scrub to your brush, then and you like a firm, fairly firm backbone, I'd say maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10. Then boy, I think there are some other brushes out there that will set you back 4 times this cost, and it won't give you any better benefit. If those are your criteria, then this is the brush for you. This knot right here is the way you need to go and save some money. Because I've definitely had some higher priced brushes have this kind of experience. And why do that if you don't need to? All right. I do think if I was shaving with a razor that was had a tendency to be a little too harsh for me, or toward the too harsh spectrum, that I would not want to use this knot. I could see myself potentially with maybe some brush burn or something like that. This is a very, very good feel for this blade and razor, the combo here. You do feel the edge, but it really is quite nice. Very controlled. It's moving easily through the hair. I believe that I'll be able to look at the end of the shave and tell you that it's also cutting closely, but I can't guarantee that at this point because I'll have to check. Very nice. Really good combo there. I think there are a couple of razors where this particular blade is on the edgy side, but most of them very nice behaving blade. It's in the top, for me at least. Just like sometimes happens when I don't quite hydrate my lather well enough, or it's up to my standards. Still very enjoyable, still a great lather, very slick. But when I went to rinse, boy, it just, the slickness here, that feeling of just complete and utter protection and slickness just exploded, and it felt wonderful in the rinse there. Just, I mean, this is the Stirling Beef Tallow base, and it's just such a terrific soap base. Oh man, I'm enjoying this scent. When I found out that Fascali was a forest, I thought, why would that be the thing to associate with this soap? Because it's not a woodsy scent to my nose. Think about that for a second. And I think what it is that there are woods in here, but it's nothing like an intense cedar or anything like that, or sandalwood or anything. What it is that there are just other accents in there. There's amber in the base notes. There is a grapefruit. And I tell you, some of my favorite scents have had some grapefruit in there. I think it's just that citrus is great to liven up. And that citrus family there is why you have so many bergamot and neroli and those kind of things. Lime, of course, and lemon jumping into soap scents just to bring brightness to the scent profile. And that's what the grapefruit is doing, of course. And then there are a bunch of other notes in here, spices and things like that. And so I think it hits on so many cylinders. It's just so well blended. I bet I'd have a hard time coming up with the scent notes on this. it all just feels like it goes together, and you can't pull the parts apart, you know? And so it's not distinctly woody, but it does have some wood notes in the blend there. Oh, and there are some mossy, earthy notes are in there as well, and that with the woods and the mossy, earthy is probably where we get the pointing toward the Scotland kind of area, foresty Scotland, pastoral kind of area. All right, well, setting 2 is doing very well. Very easy, smooth cut on the first pass. Lots of lather in my rinse bowl here. That's what happens when I run it a little thicker. The plate here that the blade rests on versus this plate that has the safety bar, those are separate, and at such low settings, they're quite close together. This is very comfortable, this second pass here. And so when those plates, if you keep them at the low settings, I might recommend when you rinse the razor after the shave that you clock it up to about 6, and then make sure you run water in there so that you don't get crud built up in there and it never has a chance to leave because those plates are so close together. There we go. Great. Super comfortable right now. Feeling good. If you are curious about the scent notes from this soap, of course, pretty much almost always you can go into the description of the video and be able to see what the manufacturer has said about the scent. And it'll list, they listed a general summary of the type of scent that it is meant to be. And of course, Stirling mentions on their site that it's a dupe of Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver. But they also mention the different scent notes and the fact that they're divided up into 3 different layers: top, middle, and bottom, or base notes. Yeah, so this is interesting because it's got 2 things I don't like. It's got kind of scritchy tips, scrubby tips that aren't super soft. When you're painting, of course, that lessens the fact that the tips are going to be at your skin in certain angles, and so it's very comfortable type motion, even among prickly brushes. That's one thing I don't enjoy all that much. And then it's got a pretty good backbone, pretty high, relatively high backbone. Like I said, the tips do have enough flex to where that's not too bad, but I think I will maybe move this brush on to somebody else in favor of others. I'm getting old, you know, and there are only so many shaves that I have. That's what happens when you get old, I guess. You start counting down. And why keep attempting a brush when there are just too many that are wonderful, that suit me better? Boy, you know, next time I have a lather that does like this one and gives me so much stuff in my rinse bowls, I may stop mid-shave and go and clean them out. Give myself some fresh water. And there we go. And just from the stuff that was in my goatee, I could recharge my whole face here and do another pass if I wanted to. This is just that wonderful layer of slickness. That's what Stirling's laying down right now, and you don't have to be able to see it as opaque to know that it's working. You can feel it. You can feel how good it is. All right, well, terrific. Scent has been wonderful, as I expected. So with that 30-second load, we ended up having pretty much the perfect amount of lather for today. Maybe a little bit more than I need, since it maybe needed a little bit more water, but ended up great. Leaving my face with some water on it during the rinses helped out and made the lather pretty much perfect. Working really good today. A couple more passes, 2 or 3, I could get out of what's left. So really nice. Going to be enjoying this scent. I don't have my R for L splash around, but what I do have is the EDT for Fascali to keep the scent going a little farther than just an hour that the soap will probably give me. And so let's put on something kind of neutral as a, you know what have I got here? Zingari Explorer. Let's try that one. Their scent strength is not that strong, so I don't think it will get in the way of anything that the Fascali is trying to do. Just a couple squirts on a wet face goes a long way. It's a very good balm. I don't have dry skin, but if you do, then I think this is one of those to check out. All right. Yeah, that's not interfering with the Fascali. So a little bit later on, I'll put on the EDT, be able to enjoy it for a lot of today. So the razor did wonderfully well today. This is a combo that still actually does give you, as I'm taking it apart and kind of rinsing the pieces, it does give you a little bit of face feel and kind of a stealthy amount of blade on your face. It more is touching your face than you really notice, because in this case with me, in my neck, I noticed a couple little tender places when I went and rinsed my face off. And so that's why I'm pretty confident that when I go to look and review the situation here in a second, I'll be seeing a nice close cut. As you saw just now, I opened it up to the largest gap so that I could give it a swig in the water. And I'm going to leave this open for a little while, because if you close it right away, water can stay in there. So let's check out the closeness. Yeah, sure enough, very nice job there, even in my trouble area. Oh man, I can still, yeah, that's just that balm, it's doing its job protecting. It just feels luxurious. Not greasy, but it kind of does feel very slick right away, but it'll absorb. And so later on, we'll be using the Fascali EDT. And if you've never seen how Stirling gives you an EDT, this is the box. I'm going to throw away this box because I know that I'm not going to be trying to sell this one. I'll be keeping it around for sure. And this is the current bottled style that Stirling is using for EDTs. So very, very nice. Got a good collection of Stirling EDTs. They're pretty low cost, and they do last a nice long time. I have noticed that in many cases, if I spray them on my neck, I'll go nose blind to them in a couple of hours. But if I spray them on my wrists, I can keep enjoying the scent for 14 hours or more in most cases. All right, well, I think that's pretty much it. I've got no irritation right now, no hint of any irritation. So comfortable shave, efficient shave, very good combo of razor and blade with this one. So we'll see if maybe I can detect any possible difference by using the V7 tomorrow of the Pearl Flexi with the same blade. So after a good rinse out, and I do like the fact that with these kind of brushes that have some backbone to them, I have no problem just thrashing them in the bowl and really kind of crushing them a little bit to agitate them properly and get a good rinse. You know, with the nicer, softer brushes, I tend to back off a little bit with that, but I almost feel like I'm trying to help the brush to be softer by working it extra hard and during the kind of rinsing and drying process. So as we strap it on the towel now, you can see a bit of a difference here. It's really pretty dense. It's an inexpensive knot. Virginia Cheng, I think it's VigShaving on eBay. They may be available. They may have a retail store, but I don't know what it is. And you can feel these tips, how they have kind of a natural feel to them. And so I think that, oh yeah, good scent. And yeah, boy, I think if this was long ago and this was the brush that maybe somebody gave this to you and you didn't have the internet to order brushes from, that if you use this for a while, I think these tips would become, take on that kind of jelly-like consistency after a long time of use and would become just a wonderful brush. If these tips were softer, pretty sure I'd keep this brush around because the backbone, while there, is not overly bothersome to me because the tip part of the bristle does have enough flex to where I feel like I'm getting an enjoyable brush action. I don't believe that I'm just trying to use the softness of the tips to feel the flex. Enough of the rest of the bristle does flex as well. So, yeah, it could give me brush burn if I worked it too hard. Not an advisable brush for me if I'm using a really, really wet lather, especially if I happen to accidentally over wet it, then this one's gonna just feel extra hard on my on me. So I think this is probably one to pass on to somebody else who likes the firmer characteristics and a little bit of scrub with their little tiny bit of scritch, and some scrub. I think in my terminology, you can have a scrubby brush that doesn't have any scritch. Just a nice feel, but it's firm, but nice. But then you've got this that has a little bit of a little bit more pointed firmness, if I could say it that way, that comes along with that scrubbiness. And that's why I use the word scritch. So just in case you're new to those kind of terms, I don't think there's a universal definition in the shaving world for those kind of terms, but I think that's the general idea that a lot of people go by. And that's it. That's it today. I'm enjoying the smell. It'll be fun to do that today. On the cigar front, since I've taken up that hobby recently, I wish I would have been able to try another cigar last night. I had a mild one up on deck, and the schedule didn't work out. Cigars are something you do have to make time for, or you only want to start one when you can give it enough time to enjoy it. Unless, of course, maybe you have purchased a nice big sampler of, or you have a low-cost option that you really enjoy, and then you don't mind taking just half an hour or 20 minutes, to do part of it. So that'll be fun later. Finally, after over 24 hours, the scent is no longer on me anymore. I'll tell you what, if the next time I try a cigar that I don't really enjoy the smell of too much, or if I think of you know, I don't think I want to smell like this for 24 hours. I might shower after I smoke it. I really might do that. There we go. Because that sure is kind of the way it worked for me. Don't take your shower before you smoke the cigar. Take it after and kind of clear everything out. All right. Well, there we go. All the best to you guys. And hopefully there was something in this shave to help you in your shaving journey. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Take care.